Hello pumpkins, I hope you're having a good weekend. We have a question from Grace today on ledger lines. Ledger lines are those lines this is called a staff, 5 lines and 4 spaces. We write music on a staff, 5 lines and 4 spaces. This is a bass staff. This is a treble clef staff. And connected by the brace, they create a grand staff. Lots of new terms, but we are going today. We're going to talk about things that I hated when I was young. I hated those notes. They call ledger lines notes. And why do they hate them? Because it's hard enough to memorize the notes, period, right? And I think I'm going to start doing the video, and this is cool, of course, that we can pick up fingers, but I want you to learn the notes. I'm going to do it for my students as well, because there is some help needed in that department. Help that anyone can use. So what is ledger lines notes and why I hate them so much? Because it's hard enough to memorize the notes on the stuff, right? And we have extra notes. Chico, no bark, you please. And we know that middle C, this would be the extra line, right? And then on this line we have a note which we call middle C. Now if you're going down from middle C on a keyboard, I'm going to show it to you in a second. Going here, going up, we're going to have D, E, F, G, and so on. Let me use this. So I'm not going to get you all confused. So this would be D, right? This would be E. This would be F. You know all the drill. So here we have C on one extra line. If we're talking about treble clef, the same baby line, we call it a baby line. Same baby line, and the note right under, I place it in the other way around. It still works. The note that is under baby line would be B. Going down. If we have 2 lines, the note will be A. Let's make another ledger line. All right, this would be 2 baby lines. The note under would be G. And should we do one more? 1, 2, 3. And if we have 3 lines, that would be F. And technically it's the F that is in the bass clef, but that's how we write this F. If we want to write, we can write this F, the bass clef F, in the treble clef. So that's pretty easy. Let's write this down. C, B, A, 2 lines right under would be G, and F. So let me show it to you one more time on the piano. This is middle C. The note we wrote down, C, B, A, G, and F. Okay. And as if it's not too confusing, now we can write notes in the bass clef with the ledger lines as well. So, baby line, we're talking about the bass clef, right? Baby line note, the very first note, the very first line you write right next to the bass clef. This would be C. Baby line, the note above would be B. Oh, bam, pa, pa, pa. I think I should have a little more coffee. This is not B. I'm sorry. This is C. This is D, of course. The second ledger line would be E. And two ledger lines. The note on top would be F. And if we have 1, 2, 3, that would be G. And which G and which F it is? We write this in the bass clef, but it's going to be middle C. This note is to the right or higher. D, E, F, G. This would be notes above middle C. Normally we would write them in the treble clef, but for whatever reason, sometimes it's more convenient to use those ledger lines and write these notes in the bass clef. And now I'm going to show it to you. Let me show it to you on the piano which notes are those one more time. So the notes we just wrote in the bass clef would be, this is middle C, but we're going to play them C. The next one is D, E, F, and G. Now, what I would really like to recommend, I think it's hard to learn notes, period. But when it comes to ledger lines, it just makes everything so much more confusing. And I don't see my students, I don't see you guys suffering. I don't like to see you guys suffering, because music should be pleasant. Learning should be reasonably pleasant. It should be, you should feel some resistance, of course, but it should be an enjoyable process. But when you have to memorize the ledger lines without any kind of training, it's really hard. It takes a long time. So what I can suggest is go for Alfred. I'm a huge fan of Alfred. You can start with 1B. 1B? No, I'm wrong. You can start with level 2. That's where would be a note speller. You can start with level 1B, but there would be no ledger lines on level 1B. On level 2, that's where they're going to start with ledger lines notes. Or you can just do it on your own. You don't have to have a book. But what they have note speller book. Note speller book. So if you get level 2 and 3, maybe 4, it would give you a chance to practice. Again, you don't have to have an extra book. I don't necessarily use books with note speller books with my students. But what I used to do, I used to use, there used to be a site, Australian site. Unfortunately, they closed. But for many years, they had, there was an option where it would be automatically generated ledger lines notes. And I would just give my students to practice those notes. They would just give you they would generate a list of notes with ledger lines notes. And try to practice. You need to practice something. It's not going to happen on its own. All right? What's happening here? Someone eating someone? Let's see. Chico? I think we did our job. Chico went to say hello. Now let's see. How about if we go back for a second to our Beauty and the Beast. So when it comes to Beauty and the Beast, I don't know if I can see those two extra lines right here. This would be A and C. There's not two, it's not two middle C's. It's A and C. And G and B. So that would be A and, this is middle C, A and C. Then G and B flat. We have a flat here, right? So from the beginning, A and C, G and B, A, G and B flat, C and A, G and B flat, and here we have A, C. It's not two C's, it's not two middle C, it's A, C, E, F, G and B flat. So I hope it helps. I'm going to put this video together and hopefully it's going to help you, but it's all about practicing. Give yourself some time, even if you're going to practice ledger lines or hard to memorize. What's important, I think, what I can suggest is to look out for the distances between the notes, the intervals. You will start recognizing, that's where you need to recognize only one note. That's the subject for another lesson. Recognizing the intervals. It's very, very important to recognize intervals. When I am reading something, sometimes there's chords with 4 or 5 notes. Do you think I'm reading all 5 notes? No, of course not. I'm just reading one note, either the top or the bottom one, and the rest of it is the pattern, the distances between the keys. So I'm not dealing with so many ledger lines notes because nobody likes them. I hope you have a good weekend. Bye-bye.